Talk to me, man.
So, all right. So there's a lot going on here. I've been thinking a lot about what's been happening with this weight loss, right? And what didn't happen. And one of the things I keep coming back to when I mean, I went down the rabbit hole of the chat bot, I looked up everything, is that maybe when we factored in the calculator and figured out my maintenance calories,
Mm.
maybe they were too high because the only reason I can think of that I did everything pretty much right. I mean, I wasn't perfect, but I was largely nailing it for
Yeah.
4 weeks, and my weight didn't change at all.
Mhm.
Could that mean that I was actually eating maintenance calories at 2,100 to 2,200 calories?
Yeah,
Because now
that's a good
now that
question,
I'm
man.
eating a couple hundred calories more, I'm already starting to gain like a third of a pound a day.
Yeah,
So
you were close to 1,800 for a while, and then you bumped it up to, or were you at 2,000 and then you bumped it up to 20?
when we first started, we calculated that it was about 2,100 to 22.
Yeah.
And I got just really flat and plateaued again earlier this winter. And that's when I went down just a few hundred calories and the weight was falling off, a
Mhm.
pound a week, pound and a half a week, depending. But I'm just wondering if maybe that could be it. If
Yeah.
if that's the mystery.
Well, yeah, because that is one of the things that we changed recently. Like that's one of the variables that we changed. It was saying because I remember there was a point where you were going quite low, right? You were going to like was it 1,800 and then like not factoring in like the extra fruits and stuff like that that you weren't tracking, and you were like, oh, maybe it's closer to 2,000. And then I said
Yeah,
just go 2,200, right?
I think that's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's difficult to say. I mean that like it's definitely worth looking at because that was one of the few things that we changed. So like that's if that was the only variable that really changed and then you stop losing weight, then it could definitely be that. But it's also important to keep in mind that your maintenance doesn't change as much as you would think. Like everybody thinks that as I lose weight, my maintenance is going to continue to drop. If that were the case, then you would never be able to eat any food because you just have
Right.
drop your calories every time that you lose weight. But the thing to understand is that like fat by itself is not metabolically costly. Like it doesn't cost your body very much energy to hold on to fat. And so when
Okay.
you fat, it doesn't meaningfully change how your metabolism functions and how many calories you burn each day. What does change that is loss of muscle and a decrease of NEAT, which we've talked about, which is the non
Mm-hmm.
activity thermogenesis. Like
Yep.
the activity you do day to day, right? As long as your movement stays somewhat the same and you maintain muscle, you're like the fact that you lost fat shouldn't change um, your maintenance calories significantly at all.
Right. Yeah. And
Right?
again, I don't think that's what's happened. I think maybe just initially my
Yeah.
maintenance was not as high as maybe we thought. I
Yes.
tried that maybe I wasn't burning as many calories in meat or, in an average day all along. And it may just be that I was, removing a lot of things that weren't particularly healthy, which helped me lose some weight. But I don't know. It just occurred to me, with all this thought about, was I tracking things accurately? And I was. I was using things that had been prepared by somebody else that had the calories on them. I
Yeah.
wasn't cheating. I wasn't dribbling oils or sauces or, I wasn't doing any of that. I wasn't tasting stuff while I was cooking. I wasn't nibbling, snacking. I'd eliminated everything else. So I know that what I was tracking was pretty well spot on,
Yeah. Yeah.
about as accurate as you could get.
Yeah. Yeah. That does
So
make sense.
so I don't know. I don't know what to do. I feel like I can't psychologically handle finishing just 2 weeks of eating in a surplus and coming out 10 pounds ahead. If I gain 10 pounds, I'm going to be cooked.
Yeah. It was more maintenance plus.
Well, no, I know, but what I'm saying is I'm noticing with just those extra 300 calories a day and now I'm not maintaining anymore. I'm starting to just pick up a little bit each day, like a third of a pound, another third of a
Yeah.
pound.
That's
So
really
I fe-
normal.
I feel like, maybe that's because that's not maintenance. I don't know.
Water. It's just
I'm
water, bro.
just yeah, I'm just really frustrated. I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
I I knew I wasn't going to lose weight by adding calories, but I didn't think I would start to gain them immediately either. So
Yeah, you definitely will. Like it's normal to put on a few pounds just from going up to maintenance from the extra food in your system and the extra water weight that you retain, but it's not
yeah.
fat. You just have to remember that it's not fat, you know?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Trying. I'm trying. It's just
Yeah,
it's a real puzzle, and
I get it, man.
I don't know. I just I'm so determined, and yet it doesn't seem like no matter what I throw at it, I've been stuck at this couple pounds for months. It seems like since
Yeah.
February, I've been, having to dutifully enter 203, 204, 205,
Tell you
202,
this.
203.
Let me tell you this. So I had a business mentor probably like a year ago, and I was running into this like serious plateau where things were like moving really slow and I wasn't making progress. And he gave me like a piece of advice that's has stuck with me because he was looking at everything I was doing and he was like, "Oh, like you're doing everything right. Like this almost doesn't make logical sense." And what he told me was like, "Rio, what you should do is you should test against your assumptions." So, for example, if you think there's something wrong with your videos, just test doing something different with the videos while keeping everything else constant. If you think there's something wrong with your sales page, just test the sales page. If it's the video on the page, just test that. Keep everything else the same. So whatever assumptions you think, whatever assumptions you have as to why you're not making progress, the best thing you can always do is isolate that variable and test against that. So for example, if we think that the fact that we bumped your calories up a little bit is the variable that you're questioning, what we should do is then test against that. If we think it's not enough steps, get more steps and keep everything else the same, because that way we can find out what the actual problem is. So for you, probably the first thing, the assumption I would test against is dropping your calories back to where they were before when you were losing weight, which was around like 1800 to 2000 instead of the
Okay.
20, right?
Okay.
Still do think the maintenance phase would help you though.
Well, I was going to say, I think I should at least complete a week of this maintenance phase,
Yeah.
don't you? Before I drop down to even 2100 again, much less 18.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
If you're still watching this video and you're a business owner, executive, or professional man between 50 and 65 in the US, and you already train, you try to eat well, but you still have a gut you're embarrassed by and you know this has to change, click the link in my description below and book a call. We'll spend 20 minutes mapping out what's keeping you stuck and whether my one-on-one coaching program is the right fit to fix it.